Today, you're going to see the most controversial movies of all time, banned, censored, and hated by many. These films broke barriers with their violence, explicit content, or ideological messages. From Nazi propaganda and glorification of the Klan to a 10-minute long single take of sexual assault. Get ready, because today on CinePrime. Remember, if you enjoy the video, you can subscribe and also follow me on my Instagram. Now, let's get started. Few films have divided audiences and critics as much as The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson. Since its release, it has been the subject of intense debates due to its visceral and explicit portrayal of the last hours of Jesus Christ's life. The brutal scenes of torture and crucifixion not only caused discomfort due to their graphic violence, but also raised questions about whether such rawness was necessary to convey its message. Additionally, the film was accused of anti-Semitism due to its depiction of Jewish leaders, which led to protests and tensions between religious communities. Some groups even claimed that the film perpetuated negative stereotypes, while others defended it as a faithful representation of the Gospels. The impact was not limited to controversy, as The Passion of the Christ was a massive box office success, grossing over $600 million. This made it clear that, despite being polarizing, the film managed to connect deeply with a global audience. When Freaks was released, it sparked extreme controversy, ruining the director's career. Directed by Todd Browning, the film featured real people with disabilities in lead roles, which horrified audiences of the time. It was considered grotesque and exploitative, leading to censorship in several countries, including the United Kingdom, where it was banned for more than 30 years. The outrage was so intense that it ruined Browning's career and led the studios to mutilate the film by removing several scenes. Over time, Freaks was rediscovered and became a cult classic. Today, it is celebrated as a work ahead of its time, humanizing its characters and condemning societal prejudices. However, it still generates debates about whether its production crossed ethical boundaries. Almost a century later, Freaks remains a film that both discomforts and fascinates, proving the power of cinema to challenge norms and open conversations. Few films have shocked audiences as much as A Clockwork Orange. Under Stanley Kubrick's direction, this dystopian film mixed extreme violence, sex, and social satire in a combination that left the public stunned. The story of Alex DeLarge, a young sociopath addicted to ultraviolence, and his brutal rehabilitation divided both critics and society. Accused of glorifying violence, the film was blamed for being a direct influence on real-life crimes, sparking widespread outrage. In the UK, death threats and media pressure led Kubrick to ban its exhibition in the country for more than 25 years. Today, A Clockwork Orange is an iconic film, praised for its bold critique of morality, social control, and individual freedom. But its impact remains as uncomfortable and provocative as the day it was released, cementing its status as a work that challenged the entire world. Triumph of the Will, directed by Leni Riefenstahl, is a Nazi propaganda film. This documentary, commissioned by Adolf Hitler, glorified the Nazi Party and the Third Reich, using carefully crafted images to exalt the power of the regime. Its innovative use of cameras, angles, and editing profoundly influenced cinematic storytelling, but its purpose was clear: to manipulate, persuade, and consolidate Nazi ideology. Its impact was devastating, helping to legitimize and strengthen a regime that would lead the world to war and the Holocaust. Today, the film is still studied for its technical importance, as it is a cinematic masterpiece, but also as a terrifying example of the power of art to negatively influence history. Triumph of the Will is not only a cinematic work, it is a dark reminder of how film can be used to fuel destructive ideologies. Pink Flamingos, directed by John Waters, is one of the most transgressive and controversial films ever made. This film would also fit into a most disgusting films list, and it would probably be number 1. From its release, it was conceived to scandalize, and it achieved its goal by showing scenes of extreme bad taste, graphic sexuality, and acts that defied all social norms of the time. The plot follows Divine, a drag queen fighting to maintain her title as the most disgusting person in the world. But beyond the story, what caused outrage were its explicit scenes, like simulated and real sexual acts, bizarre violence, and above all, the infamous moment when Divine eats dog feces on screen. And the worst part is that the scene is real. There's no trick, the actor actually ate the feces. Banned in several countries and condemned by critics, Pink Flamingos became a symbol of underground cinema and counterculture. Without a doubt, it is a divisive film, and honestly, I'm not exactly a big fan of this type of cinema. I wouldn't recommend watching this movie. A Serbian Film is undoubtedly one of the most controversial and disturbing films in history. The movie sparked a storm of criticism due to its scenes of extreme violence, abuse, and explicitly taboo subjects. The story follows a retired adult film actor who is manipulated into participating in a snuff film, facing a spiral of unimaginable horrors. The controversy lies in its explicit scenes, such as the infamous baby scene, and acts of violence that many labeled unnecessary and exploitative. It was banned in several countries, including Spain, Norway, and Brazil, and its distribution faced legal restrictions in many others. Even today, A Serbian Film is a title that divides opinions. Some see it as an extreme social commentary, while others consider it an example of cinema that crosses lines that should never be crossed. Both this film and Pink Flamingos seem like huge, disgusting pieces of crap to me that are just trying to stir up controversy. However, the film I'm about to show you now seems like a masterpiece. Irreversible, directed by Gaspar Noé, is one of the most shocking and controversial films in cinema. Told in reverse chronological order, it depicts a brutal story of violence and revenge that includes one of the most disturbing scenes ever filmed. A 9-minute sexual assault presented in a raw, devastating single take. The film caused outrage upon its premiere at Cannes, where numerous viewers left the theater, with some even fainting due to its brutality. The controversy centered around whether the extreme violence was gratuitous or if it served as a profound reflection on time, consequences, and human fragility. Despite the controversy, Irreversible is a masterpiece of cinema. Its innovative narrative, flawless technical direction, and the emotional rawness of the performances, especially from Monica Bellucci and Vincent Cassel, make it a unique cinematic experience. Gaspar Noé created a work that is as uncomfortable as it is brilliant, forcing the viewer to confront the worst of the human condition while challenging the limits of art. Cannibal Holocaust, directed by Ruggero Deodato, sparked massive controversy, as many believed it was a snuff film due to the brutality of its scenes. The realism of the violence, including torture and killings, led to the director's arrest on charges of murder. The actors had to prove they were alive, which fueled the rumors. The story follows a group of documentary filmmakers who, while attempting to film tribes in the Amazon jungle, encounter a macabre fate. The brutality of the scenes, including tortures, murders, and extremely graphic content, caused an immediate scandal. Additionally, the film was condemned for using real animals in violent scenes, leading to its ban in several countries, as 4 animals were sacrificed for the shoot, showing animal torture within the film itself. The Birth of a Nation, directed by D.W. Griffith, is one of the most influential and controversial films in cinema history. Released in 1915, it was the first 3-hour movie and revolutionized the industry with its innovative use of narrative and cinematic techniques. However, its artistic impact was overshadowed by its extremely racist content and glorification of the Ku Klux Klan. The film portrays the Klan as heroes who restore order in the South after the defeat of the Confederacy, while African Americans are depicted as savage and dangerous. This portrayal fueled the resurgence of the Klan in the United States, which used the film as a propaganda tool. The movie acted as a catalyst for a new wave of violence and hatred, with the Klan gaining power and influence in the following decades. Cinematically, it is considered one of the greatest films in terms of innovation, but its cultural impact was extremely negative, being considered incredibly racist even for its time. It's astonishing. Salo, directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini, is by far the most controversial film of all time. Based on the work of the Marquis de Sade, it depicts a group of powerful fascists who kidnap young people and subject them to extreme torture and perversions. The explicit violence, humiliation scenes, and themes of sadism sparked global controversy, leading to its ban in many countries and igniting a wave of worldwide outrage. What shocked the most was the coldness with which Pasolini portrayed these atrocities, using the film as a political allegory against the abuse of power and dehumanization. A month after its release, Pasolini was murdered under extreme and mysterious circumstances, which added tragedy to the already grim reception of the film. I watched this movie with some friends, and we didn't tell one of them what it was about. I can assure you, the laughs didn't stop. Even though it's disturbing, it's so extreme and disgusting that with friends, you'll be cracking up. Definitely recommend pulling that prank on a friend, because if you watch it alone, you'll be traumatized.